Because we want to be able to select the ones that can create visual engagement for our eyes, sound engagement for our ears, and physical interaction with the technology for our participants to touch their computer, their mouse, all of which is creating spaces of engagement. Okay. So for our eyes, how do you create visual engagement? Change the screen, change it frequently. Be sure to also have more visuals than text. We always are we're reading pictures in a more memorable ways. Use slide animations for things to appear and disappear, which we've been using frequently already. Bring in video. What video can you play? Just with this one small caveat to make sure that you're probably using and sharing an internal video source, because you need to be mindful of any copyright laws for that content and that for your ability to share that information. And then the screen share versus camera, which is what you just saw, but it is so impactful to break the screen, make an important point that suddenly everyone is really paying attention to, and then bring your screen share back up again to be able to move on to the next topic. You do not have to be glued to your PowerPoint. That is not a rule, that is not an expectation. So master your screen share, stop share to really be able to create that movement and that engagement in changing the screen. Now for audio, bring in another voice. And you can do this in a number of ways. So we talked about the importance of discussion. Well, discussion is because we hopefully are discussing with other people, but it's creating engagement because there's another voice involved. Our brains are hearing another voice, another pitch, another tone, which is interesting for us. So be sure to also have verbal share with responses, because there have been meetings and presentations I've attended where nothing has been but in written text. While helpful in the virtual space, be sure to still incorporate written responses with verbal responses. You can also present with a partner. Christina and I do on a regular basis for this very reason. Simply having a partner to be able to exchange parts with creates the two voices to hear from. You can also have an audience plant. This is really helpful if you have like a really large group that you might be presenting to and you want to kick off your discussion. In advance of that presentation, ask someone that you trust and say, look, here's my first question. Will you be the first one ready to respond? Like, find that virtual hand raise, be ready to come off of mute, be the one who is ready to go. And that sometimes can be really helpful to bring in another voice, as well as to set the tone of how to interact. And then also provide self-reflection in your presentation to provide silence. The absence of sound is just as powerful as a lot of sound. And again, providing that variety of some sound and not sound, and that silence can be really engaging. So are there times where you can ask your participants to reflect for a moment individually, silently, with nothing in the background, to allow them to re-engage with what they're thinking through? And then finally, for our physical touch, when we're asking our participants to potentially engage in the laptop and the mouse and the computer, excuse me, sorry, we can use your chat and your hand raise, which we've talked about, which are key components to be able to touch the keyboard. If you are more familiar with your advanced features with whatever technology platform you're using, you can launch a poll that people can interact with. You can annotate with a whiteboard or collaborate on a Google Doc, allowing them to interact there, or do breakouts to be able to give them the chance to have further interaction there.